So, just quickly, some of the things we can talk about. An element of this is you needing to understand, being able to link the browser to your back-end database and understanding who it is that is visiting you. There's explicit personalization where people are having to log in some form and you know exactly who they are. You can welcome them back with, as you do on a desktop environment, welcome back Fred Smith. You know who they are, you know they've been to the site before, you've linked them back to your back office systems. If you don't know that, but there's cookies and things that you can use, so you know they've been to your site, you've got a degree of information about their browsing behavior. You can, in the same way that Amazon do, for example, understanding pages that you've looked at on your website recently, they can show you were recently interested in this, here's some other kind of products and pages that you might be interested based on what you looked at last time you were on our site. Implicit personalization. Use their location. The phone devices are getting more and more aware of where they are, whether it's GPS or whether it's cell location, whether it needs to be granular to the nearest 10 meters or whether the nearest half kilometer is appropriate enough. We heard a stat earlier about restaurant lookups. Actually knowing that I'm in this bit of London and giving me restaurants within kind of half a mile or so here is probably fine. I don't need to know that the thing is right next door to this building. If it's a Starbucks coffee shop, then yes, I probably do, because I'm not going to travel half a mile to find Starbucks, because I know there's probably a Costa and a Nero in between times as well. But you can use that location aware if you've got the permissions, or you enable people to put the permissions on, then you can use that location if it's appropriate to you. Time aware, display content by time of day. If you're McDonald's and you've got the breakfast menu before 10 o'clock, use the fact that the clock of the phone is telling you it's before 10 a.m. in the morning. If it's later in the afternoon or you've got a special kind of time relevant happy hour or whatever it might be, you can use that functionality and understand that stuff can help to kind of personalize the content that's being displayed to the user. Combine the two. Use location and time of day. Talk about the fact that it's lunchtime, so you might want to look at a restaurant if it's a site that's kind of providing useful information on the area, or even a cafe, your own cafe if you're a retailer and you've got that kind of service in store. And again, mobile browsing, although time on site is becoming longer, it's less snacky, people are doing more and more on the site, browsing behaviours, you don't have a mouse, you don't have hours of doing this stuff necessarily, you're still talking in the sort of 5 to 10 minute time. Make navigation simple, make it quick, make it easy. This is kind of a very top level sitemap for the Jaguar site, and although there was lots of content and you can kind of see the depth of pages, we kept everything to within 2 or 3 clicks from the home page. So getting in and out and finding specific links within that site when you're on repeat visits is quick and it's easy. And it's not too fiddly playing around with mouse trackballs or touching menu buttons on the touch screen or whatever it might be. Use a holistic information architecture. Use this as a way of controlling centrally what you're displaying. It still gives you the flexibility to provide campaign metrics, to provide campaign banners, to talk about things on a short-term basis, and having kind of all wrapped up in your unique kind of brand look and feel, but it allows you within the basic architecture to personalize things and move things around within kind of defined parameters, and give you segmentation, give you A/B splits, testing different content and things and seeing what's working and what's not working. And then for much larger organizations, you can go into much deeper enterprise content management layers and systems, and provide kind of head office master content and allow degrees of personalization as you get into translation layers. So if you've got multinational and you've got different languages that you need to deal with, or if you're getting down to channel and you've got different, you've segmented your audience and you know that you want to talk to, I suppose if you're Sky talking to people that have got movies, you want to show them the movie content and maybe advertise to upgrade to sports and vice versa. So you can use at the head office level, understand that kind of how you're bringing all of that content together and run which bits of content are appropriate based on the database access that you've got behind that. For bringing e-commerce to life within that, you're going to need those multiple presentation layers to deal with the different kind of phones. Understand that you've got differences in how you're presenting things for a Nokia device compared to a Sony Ericsson compared to an iPhone. You're going to need to have handset detection to kind of bring that stuff to life and optimize the display and optimize the processes that you're using for those phones. How much data and how easy is it for data and names and addresses and credit card details and things to be entered through the phone. And it also gives you access to, if you've got a mobile back end to that, you'll get much more accurate, unique user and analytics. If you're relying on something like Google Analytics to look at your mobile traffic on your website, and it will give you an indication, but actually it misses anything up to 50% of visitors to your site that are coming in through a phone, it will underreport by anything up to 50% and maybe even more. Just depending on the technologies that you use to display your site and what Google Analytics understands by a mobile phone, what it picks up as a mobile phone and reporting that back to you. Having a mobile CMS at the back end will also give you the same kind of unique support for apps. So if you're looking to track usage, ongoing usage, data uploads, variation uploads, all of that stuff, if you've got a mobile back end to all of that, then you'll get much better app analytics as well. There are a number, there's no real kind of right answer to this question, but there's two kind of key ways of integrating, I suppose, whether it's your e-commerce solutions. You can integrate with the back office, and so you've got effectively you've got kind of your mobile commerce stuff happening separately from your existing e-commerce platform. And the kind of pros of this is you can kind of make it all happen separately. You're not reliant on your e-commerce platform. The disadvantage is you've probably got two sets of stats, and somebody at the back end's got to kind of merge two lots of data together and try and see where there's crossovers in terms of the same customer and kind of creating that 360-degree view. And then the other way of doing it is actually to integrate within the e-commerce platform itself. And then you've got one view, but it's probably it's a harder and kind of more complicated integration piece. The mobile specialist would need to integrate with the e-commerce platform. They need to understand the e-commerce platform, have all that technology go off together, and it's probably a slightly longer development process and a more complicated development process. It's also not always possible that e-commerce will talk to a mobile commerce solution. The advantage of your mobile commerce platform being separate, of course, is that if you choose to change your e-commerce supplier down the line, then you don't necessarily need to unpick everything and start again with your mobile version of that. It will continue to run while you kind of shift over the desktop solution. Other things to think about, I suppose. Understand that specific content that customers are interested in your mobile site might be very deep within your desktop site. Ensure that a link that takes you to a specific product or a variation of a product on a desktop site kind of translates across and can be viewed in the same way on a mobile site. If somebody shares a link through an email, for example, which more and more are being kind of accessed through mobile phones and not just BlackBerries. We've talked about, and Andy was talking about earlier, about how you integrate mobile within all the rest of your marketing communications. Your customers are expecting, when they see your communications and advertising and door drops, more and more are expecting to and are actually accessing things through their devices. Ensure it all ties together. If you create a new mobile site, if you create a new app, promote it. Use the channels you've got to promote it. As Andy was saying with Sky, he's now getting that visibility on print, on TV, and everywhere else that they're showing their stuff. And you need to do that. If you're not going to do that, it's not going to be a surprise if you then don't get the volume of downloads that you're expecting or need to justify the budget that you're spending on these things. And don't forget the humble SMS. It's still the ubiquitous way and the most understood way that anybody, well, no matter what their age and financial circumstances, understands about their mobile phone, and it's the easiest way of getting people, especially if you're trying to take them deep into a site to look at an offer, whatever it might be. A link or from within an SMS that can be sent out to them is the fastest and the simplest way of doing that.